Welcome to another TBC 410 feature video. In this video, we're going to be covering how to create cut fill maps and surface-to-surface earthworks reports with projected surfaces. For this video, we're going to be working with a dataset that contains two scans. There was a building in Denver that was scanned because they were doing some excavating beneath a wall and wanted to monitor the wall's movement. We're going to check for movement using an earthworks report. The first scan was taken prior to excavating, and the second scan was taken post-excavating. The scans were both taken using the same scan setup with monuments in place so that the point clouds are properly aligned. And this is important because if the point clouds were not brought into the project using the same scan setup or with any GNSS data for reference, we wouldn't know if the clouds are properly georeferenced with respect to one another. And then any analysis from then on would be invalid. And in this demo, we've already created projected surfaces using the same plane definition for both sets of scan data. And we've also already added surface boundaries to clean up the surface edges. And this was also done to make sure that the surfaces being compared covered the same area. So let's get started. And so this is the wall that we're trying to monitor here. And as you can see, I already have the surfaces turned on in the background here. So right below this surface, it's kind of hard to tell what we're looking at, but right below here is where they're excavating, so that's why they're monitoring this face of the wall. So I'll just turn off the building scan just so it's easier to look at. So here's the two surfaces on top of each other. I already have them both created and cropped using surface boundaries. And so the first thing we're going to do is create the cut fill map. So in the Surfaces tab, we are going to hit the cut fill map command, and we're going to give it a name. And once again, we're going to select the initial surface for initial and monitoring for final. And then we're also going to create this in a new layer, just in case we might want to hide it for processing speed reasons later. And so for the grid spacing, we're just going to do about 1/5 of a meter and see how that goes. So here's the results of the cut fill map. So as you can see, the values are pretty low, almost 0 for the most part, and then a couple millimeters here and there. We see 3 and 1 and 4. So this is another tool that you can use to determine if you have a wall that's moving or not. And in this case, the wall is effectively not moving. I believe the surveying company that we got this from mentioned that their tolerances were on the order of at least on the centimeter scale. So we're seeing most of our movement here just in the millimeter scale. So we're in the clear. So the cut fill surface isn't very visually striking since it's mostly 0 cut fill. So if you want to change the design tolerances to create a deliverable, you can go to the project settings. And in the project settings, you can go to computations, and then you can go to surface. And then you can scroll down to the bottom here. And so you can see here this above design grade tolerance and below design grade tolerance. You can change this to effectively change where the colors switch from cut to fill. So right now we have cut is red and fill is blue. And so if it's over that 5 millimeter mark or below the 5 millimeter mark, it's going to change on the surface. So we can just change this a bit and just see how it affects the color mapping. So I'm going to change it to 1 millimeter, hit OK. So now that we've applied the new tolerance, we can kind of see where more of the cut values are located in this bottom right corner of the surface. So here we can see a couple of millimeters of cut here and there, and that's a little different than the top right or top left-hand portion of the surface. So in addition to the cut fill, you can also create an Earthworks report. So if you wanted to sort of just give a deliverable as just the set of numbers instead of a graphic deliverable, you could go to the report section and you can click on Earthworks Report. And currently right now we only support the surface to surface report type. So you go initial for your initial surface, final is monitoring, and then we don't need boundary since we already have that for our surfaces. And in the volume breakdown, we would only use the volume totals only, as that's what we support for projected surfaces. So we hit OK. So this is the Earthworks volume report that we just created from our projected surfaces, and it's going to pop up in your browser as an HTML document. And so in it we can see the surfaces, the volumes, the areas, and also the depth summary. And really the only thing different in this Earthworks report is the depth summary. So the depth summary is going to be relative to your plane definition, whereas normally a Earthworks report depth summary would be relative to a world coordinate system. For projected surfaces, you can also utilize the custom reporting features. So to create a custom report, you can go to the Reports command in the Home tab, and you can click Create Custom Report. And then here we're going to give it a name and a description. And then the report source data is really what's important. So this will determine the data fields that you can modify and edit within your report. So for instance, if we wanted to create a custom Earthworks report, we would pull in all of the data that we can from the Earthworks report, and then we can choose a layout, which is really just the aesthetics part of the report. So if you click the three dots, it'll pull up all of these pre-built report layouts and in this report templates folder. And then this is where you can save your custom layouts. So if you come back and want to edit your personal Earthworks report, it'll be in this list. So, but for now we don't have any, so we're just going to pick a pre-built report, custom Earthworks report, and we're going to open it. And we're going to hit Edit Layout. And once you hit Edit Layout, it's going to bring up the custom Earthworks report template in a Word document. And then this is where you're going to be able to modify the report and save it as your own. So in here you can see there's already all of these predetermined inputs and values that are going to be reported out, but you can edit all of these and you can add your own specific branding to your company or for specific deliverable requirements. And for more information, you can actually go to the custom reporting tutorial that we have.